Horns up and welcome to Headbanger's Kitchen, the heavy metal cooking show that's keto all the way and where you can find the written recipe with the macros and all the nutritional information in the video description box below the video or on www.headbangerskitchen.com. My name is Sahil Makija, though I've been calling myself the Demonstealer since I was 16 years old, and no, I am not a devil worshipper. I just like to have coffee with him every Sunday. Anyway, enough jibber jabber. You can eat onion and tomato on the keto diet, and let's get to today's episode. Alright, so a couple of days ago on my Instagram, I made a post asking you guys if you could ask me any one question, what would you like to ask me? So you sent me a couple of your questions, and today on this video, I'm going to answer them. Alright, so the first question comes from Gitika asking, does keto affect your memory or like studying capability? Well, I haven't been doing any studying recently, but it definitely doesn't affect your memory. Being a musician, I have to remember a lot of lyrics and chords and things like that, and I really haven't had any issue doing that on the keto diet, so I would say no. Ara Sharma asks, would you like to invest money overseas in a keto cafe? Question mark. Collaboration? Question mark. You know, honestly, even though I am a foodie, I love cooking and all that, I'm not sure I would ever want to invest money in a restaurant. I just think the restaurant business is really hard. It's extremely difficult. It's a lot more than just cooking. I mean, you could be the best chef in the world, but running a restaurant is a totally different ball game than just being a good, chef or a cook. So for me, I don't think I'm a good business person, and I'm not sure it's something I would invest my money in. And having said that, I'm not saying I would never want to open a restaurant, but I think I'm not so sure about being a financial investor in one. I think I'm more of a person that would like to be involved creatively for a fee, and those who are into investing money and reaping the returns can do that. So that's my answer. The next question comes from Stony Stark AF. What does that name even mean? Is it like Tony Stark as what? Anyway, his question is, how and when did you meet your wife? Well, I met Dipti, that's my wife's name, in the year 2002. We actually met online, and it was through a website called gigpad.com. Now, that's not a dating website. It was a website where local musicians would sort of put up classified ads, and there was a forum where we would talk about the scene and things like that. And she used to sing at that time in college, and she put up an ad saying looking for a band to sing for. Now, when my band started, I was really I really wanted female vocals in the band, and we had a singer who quit. So I was always looking for women singers. Well, I know that sounds really bad, but well, I was. And I met her online, and I added her on Yahoo Messenger, and I spoke to her. And then eventually we did meet at a concert in 2003. And all this while we were talking, and we became friends, and things progressed from there. And well, here we are 15 years later, married. The next question comes from Ankit Sharma. He asks, how so long hair? How? Question mark. When? Question mark. Well, I can't remember the last time I had a haircut. I started growing my hair when I was 16 years old, just as soon as I finished school, and I think I've had one or two haircuts after that, but never like really short. And yeah, I mean, cutting my hair has never been something I wanted to do. I do trim it occasionally, and you know how I trim it? I do this. Well, I lift it up and I do like a snip here and take 1 inch off. But yeah, I guess it's been about 15 years at least since I had a haircut. So yep, that's how it's gotten so long, I guess. The next question comes from Bhavika, who asks, since you love eating food so much, wouldn't it be better if you just had low carb normally as a more sustainable diet as compared to keto? I've thought about it. I have tried it as well, and I've tried many other things, as most of you have seen if you have been following this channel for a while. And I've come to the conclusion that I have no willpower. Unfortunately, if you give me a finger, I will take your hand. If you give me your hand, I will take your arm. If you give me your arm, I will take your body. Figuratively, of course. So what happens is when I'm on low carb, I tend to find more things to binge on. I think for me personally, as someone with a lack of willpower and control, having some sort of serious restrictions is way more helpful than having this sort of, let me try and kind of make this work. It was almost like when I did OMAD, I was trying to get to eat everything but restricting it by just one meal a day, and it didn't work for me. So I find that keto keeps me on track and more accountable for my actions, and even if I do tend to binge on keto food, I find the effect less damaging than if I am on a low carb or non-keto way of eating. Minette Patricia asks, your best options for keto snacks? I think I find that peanuts and other kinds of nuts are great snacking options for keto. Of course, if I'm eating peanuts, I make sure I weigh them and measure it out to no more than 20 grams of peanuts in a day. And I also like to have eggs as a snack. I generally intermittent fast pretty much all the time, so I'm never eating eggs for breakfast. So eggs are actually a good snack for me because I don't get sick of them because I'm eating them like for breakfast and lunch and dinner, no. So I try and keep my food quite varied, but like eggs are a constant snack that I have. And of course, good sausages, cold cuts of any kind, lots of meat is what I generally snack on. And of course, my favorite vegetarian snack, a caprese. The next question comes from Caitlin, who asks, what's your best advice to sticking to keto? Well, Caitlin, I think for anybody doing keto, meal prep and planning ahead are the best advice I can give you to stay on the keto diet. Honestly, more than anything, I feel people lose focus when they are not prepared. For example, if you are hungry and you get a craving for anything, it could be a burger, pizza, whatever. It's far worse when you don't have some kind of food to eat when you have that craving. Because when you're hungry and you're craving something, you don't want to cook at that point. And on keto, a lot of people, I think you need to cook your food and be prepared, because then you can just dive into that keto meal and feel satiated, at least physically. Because if you feel physically full, you're not going to want to eat more, even if you are mentally craving something that is not keto. So meal planning and meal preparation and being ready with your meals in advance is the best advice I can give you to stay on keto and not sort of lose focus and go off track. Alright, so the next question comes from Shweta. It is not common for an Indian guy to have so much passion towards cooking because of how the system works. But then, how did you get so much into cooking and innovating keto recipes? Well, I'm going to take this as a two-part question. The first part being, how did I get into cooking given how the system works? Well, you know what? There is no system that works, I must be honest. It is our regressive society and our old ways of thinking, which is men should not be in the kitchen and women should not be independent and all that horrible stuff. But you know what? I have to say I am super grateful, super lucky that I was born into a very open-minded family. And you know what? I believe people are responsible for themselves, but the one thing in life that you really don't have much control over is into which family you are born. And trust me guys, that's the one thing I'm most thankful for. My parents have always been open-minded. They have never ever pointed at something and said, oh, you can't do this, this is only for boys, or this is only for girls, you can't do this. No, I was never ever stopped from being creative, from expressing myself, from pursuing things that I wanted to. I mean, I did speech and drama in school, I did elocution, I did acting, and I know that there are enough Indian parents that won't even like let their kids get into acting because it's not like, oh, you can't do that, you have to just become a doctor or engineer, that's your thing in life. And I'm really grateful they And my grandfather was a great cook. He was always in the kitchen. He made amazing food. And I love good food. And I'm a very picky person, and I'm very a sort of a control freak. So cooking my own food kind of just came naturally to me. It was pretty much like written in the stars that I would venture into the kitchen and cook up delicious food for myself to eat. And of course I enjoyed feeding other people too. In fact, I even took cooking as a hobby in school, and I remember I was one of 3 boys in that class, because all the other boys were doing boy-like hobbies, and I was like and all the other guys thought I was the smartest guy on the planet, because man, look at him, he's surrounded by chicks. Why did we go into the sports and the NCC and all that when we're all surrounded by guys, and here's this dude hanging with all the hot women in school? But anyway, I digress. So I wanted to be a chef also at one point in time, and of course that was till I discovered my love for heavy metal music, and then I wanted to be a metal musician. And that's the other thing. A lot of parents are very judgmental, and they don't want their kids listening to heavy metal or playing guitar or that kind of stuff. And my parents never said a word. They encouraged me. They got me whatever I needed. They never ever sort of said, no, you can't do this. The only time they were ever really concerned was when I dropped out of college. And I understand that. Which parent wouldn't be? And it wasn't that, oh, it's because you want to be a metal musician that we are worried. No, we're worried because we know that metal musicians don't make money, and here I am 18 years later and I know that metal musicians don't make money. So they were just concerned about how I would earn a living, and that's fair enough. And you know what? I did a good job showing them how I would as a sound engineer, etc, etc. Anyway, that's another story for another time. So yeah, parents always encourage cooking, and I'd like to think of myself as a creative person. So that's kind of what got me into cooking afterwards later on in life, and doing a cooking blog on Facebook, and then turning that into Headbanger's Kitchen. And then once I was on the keto diet, I just got creative with the food, and here I am today. So yeah, hopefully that didn't take too long to explain. Next question from Melina says, how did you start keto cooking? Like I mentioned in the previous answer, I like to cook my own food. I'm a fussy guy. So I had this show for actually 5 years. Headbanger's Kitchen ran as a heavy metal cooking show without keto for 5 years. And then I kind of decided that I was just going to do normal recipes when I had the time to do it. And I got on the keto diet, and since I was on the keto diet, I was like, you know what, let me just do a few keto recipes. And they just took off, and there's been no stopping me ever since. So that's how I started cooking keto. And the final question comes from Vrushali. She says, how do you motivate yourself to go on keto if you are doing it alone and your partner is not? That's a great question. And I think this works if you have a mutual respect and understanding with your partner, and you treat each other as equals. Because I think it's okay, like my wife is not on keto all the time, but we respect each other's choices, we support each other, and we help each other. That is what it's all about, If you are doing keto and your partner is dismissive of it, if he's like, oh, this is rubbish, you're going to fail, that attitude means it's going to be 10 times as hard. It's not impossible, but it's 10 times as hard. So like I said, if you sort of plan ahead, if you prep your meals on Sunday, say for the next 5 days, if you're doing keto and your husband is not, if he is able to sort his own food out sometimes, or if he's able to eat what you're eating, or vice versa, or if you can share the cooking perhaps, So these kind of things help you do keto even if your partner is not. But yeah, if your husband expects you to cook for him, and like expects you to make twice the amount of food, then it gets tough. And that's the time you tell your husband, go get your own damn food, or whatever. Again, it depends on your relationship dynamic. I would say sit down with your partner, explain to him how important this is for you, and work on a plan on how you guys can make this work. Maybe you cook a certain number of meals, certain number of meals are ordered from out. I don't know. You guys can be creative with it. I wish you the best. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this Q&A session. If you have a question, leave it in the comments below and I'll answer it on one of the future Q&As. Anyway, thanks for watching. Cheers and stay keto. If you liked the video, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to Headbanger's Kitchen for more awesome keto recipes and keto related videos. If you like what I do, you can pick up a Headbanger's Kitchen t-shirt. Links in the video description box below. And thank you once again for all your support.